Well, here we go, I guess. Is it working? Okay, looks like it is working. I should mute that. Mute this. Oh, we were... Um... I think I shared everything. Okay, looks like... Okay, cool. Great, so we already have a submission, so let's just get right into it. Why what? It's the last reacting to RAM timing stream, because, like, I'm not gonna be here for the, like, end of December. There's only like 2 more Mondays, and I'm not gonna be here for either of them. Yeah. And like, I guess technically, I'm not dealing with trying to stream from a laptop. It's really that simple. Anyway, let's take a look at these. So a 7800X3D, at 6200, 2200 FCLK, cool. 30, 37, 37, 32, 28, 60, 4, 820, 414, 48, 390, 41, 65,000. Neat. Kind of a waste of a gene to be running 6200. But, like, yeah, wait, you're not even that high on the SoC voltage. This might work at 6400 with 1.3 volts. Yeah. So I'd probably try that if I were you. I mean, you might need to loosen out the timings a bit. But yeah, I would definitely try 60. It's not like the thing is, I say, oh, I would definitely. It's not going to make that much of a difference, right? Like you do have to keep that in mind. Like 6400, like if the timings didn't change, which they will, because I'm pretty sure 37 TRCD is not going to work at 6400. The calculator's not showing up. Now I'm going to find out that I already have an instance of the calculator. Now, of course I do, because, yeah. Anyway, like the thing is 6400 is like 3% faster at best, so it's like the thing is you have a gene. So you're running like extremely, like these are good timings, but they're also really easy to run, relatively speaking. Like I would expect basically most kits and CPUs to be able to do this. And so it's kind of lame to have like a really fancy overclocking board and then really generic memory settings. But other than like performance-wise, it's fine. It's not like it's going to get much faster than this. Just a bit boring. Anyway, what's the hit of GDM on or off for DDR5? I don't know. I've not really tested it. As far as I know, it's not much. So, and also on some motherboards, if you try to disable GDM, you're going to have a really bad day. So, yeah, that's why it's like one of those things that I don't really pay much attention to, because like sometimes you can just disable it and it's fine, and other times you disable it and it just destroys stability and you're screwed. So anyway, and it's not like, yeah, so it's like it's a setting that I just kind of don't bother with, and it's not even super consistent as to where it is on every motherboard. So like Asus calls it, like has a really weird name for it if I remember correctly. Gigabyte, actually Gigabyte has it relatively easily accessible, maybe. I don't remember. Anyway, next submission. E7600 and running 6400 on a tough X670E Plus. Neat. So 3200, 2133, 3200. Cool. 30, 38, 38, 38, 28, 66, 4, 820, 616, 48, 500. M-die? Oh, I guess, yeah, 6000 CL32. This might be an M-die kit. And 60,000 refresh interval. And by that I mean 16 gigabit M-die. Because, like, that's the big difference between 16 gigabit M-die and A-die is the TRFC. On A-die, you can run way lower TRFC. You can run like 400 at 6400. But on M-die, that's not even going to post. So, yeah. This is M-die. Cool. So I guess that right. Anyway, next submission. Press the wrong button. Hey, it's not a Ryzen system. I've got a 12700K with DDR4 dual rank. Is it? Yeah, dual rank, because this got to be B-die. So, 40. I'm going to go with that being 4100 and that just being like a weirdness in the BCLK. And then 16, 16, 16, 28, 2, 14, 300, 4, 4, 6, 2, 6, 16, 16. The 65,000 refresh interval, 8, 4, 8, 8. I think the dual rank timings can get lower. Like 8, 477 or something. I think is an option. But it's been like forever since I've last messed with DDR4. Then we got 14, 14, 14, 14, 28, 24. Yeah, so that looks standard. Actually, 8. Yeah, I can't remember what I last used with DDR4. And I don't think I wrote it down in a convenient place, because that's not a thing that I do, writing things down. Would make life too easy if things could be easily found and not somewhere in a video. Okay, I found a DDR4 setup. Yeah, you can run 7. Right, is this 16 gigs? Yeah, it's 2x16 and it's 8477. Yeah. So you could go a bit tighter on the dual rank, like different rank, different DIMM timings. Not as like... actually, that'll probably help more than raising the memory frequency by 3%. Anyway, so yeah, the timings look good. And that's kind of that. So, nice, I guess. And next submission. Oops. I'm really good at copying text and pasting it. Really, really good at that. Anyway, another 79... Oh, yeah, another Ryzen setup. We've got a 7950X. 2 kits of some kind of Kingston. M-die on both of them. Manually set proc ODT to 40. After BIOS update, the motherboard defaults to 60, but it's unstable. Yeah, that's always fun when the BIOS gets updated and they just break something that used to work correctly. So that is a interesting terminations. I'm not saying they're wrong. Like, if this works, then they're evidently correct. Like, that's the really annoying part about all of these resistances, is that you really don't have any way of checking, like, what's going on with them other than, is it stable or not? I'm just used to seeing dual rank setups with, like, really high values for some of these, and these are all very low. So that's interesting. Manually set proc out, right? 6400 stable, but crashes after a minute of M prime? What's M prime? You mean prime 95, or is that some other thing? Oh, that is prime 95. Cool. Did you test anything other than VT3? Because like test mem 5 or something? Because yeah, I wonder about that. Anyway, let's take a look at the what? Shut up, Edge. Let's take a look at the time, like, timings. So 30, 37, 37, 37, 30, 67, 4, 6, 16, 4, 16, 48, 490, 4, 2, 6, 6, 8, 8, 65,000. Yeah, that all looks good. I'm really, actually, maybe, also for 6400, it might be like cast latency too low or something. I don't know. Like, I'm assuming you didn't just try to run these settings at 6400, because like the primaries for 6400 are a bit on the tight side, though VT3 would probably catch that. No, I'm not 100% certain. My ASRock X87 Nova straight up will not boot with GDM disabled. Whoa, that is way worse than my experience has been. Are you on like dual rank or something? Because for like with single rank, GDM on the Tai Chi has been like, I turn it off and the stability goes to hell. It hasn't been, I turn it off and it stops working. So why would a BIOS update brick my ability to RAM tune? If they changed some auto memory rules, then that would do it. Also, what platform are you on? Did you experiment with Micron HDI DDR4? No, I've not really tested any newer DDR4 than like Hynix DJR. Anyway, I'll grab another submission. And that one didn't work. Did I copy it wrong? No, doesn't look like it. So I'm gonna assume that that one's just like you left it private or something. That is a thing. Is if you're uploading screenshots to Imgur, you have to make them public. Otherwise, other people can't open them. And by default, I think they're set to private. So yeah. Anyway, we have a different submission. Oh. Well, this one's spicy. 9800X3D, 2233 Infinity Fabric at 1.29 SoC. Like, the performance admittedly isn't floating around very much, but, the CLs are kind of loose. Got an error at 6. And any audio. Okay, cool. Because the issue is like just running a stress test, I wouldn't 100% trust it. But if you're not having any weirdness with the system, then I'm gonna assume that it's probably fine. I don't think you'd have to. Oh wait, you're at 6400. Yeah, so it basically doesn't make sense to run anything. Like it's either 2133 or 2233. It doesn't really make sense to run anything else. 200 plus pass Lin pack. So the thing is, both of these hit like the memory controller pretty hard, but they are not really great for the memory sticks. Then again, your timings aren't really that crazy, so yeah, like 28, 38, 38, 32, 30, 62, 6, 8, 24, 4, 16, 48, 5, what? Oh, 24 gig, right. 7, 7, and 65,000. Cool. Yeah, okay. So like initially I was like, oh, you should run like Karhu or TestMem 5 or something to like check the memory sticks, but like with timings like this, that probably isn't necessary. I'm surprised you can get CL28 to work at 1.55 volts though. Like my 24 gigabit, admittedly I haven't like checked the 8000 rated sticks I have, but all the 24 gigabit MDI I have that I've like tried to run at 6400 for CL28 just requires absolutely ludicrous amounts of EDD. Um, so yeah, that I find surprising that you can get away with 1.55 volts. Um, but the rest of the timings look good. Pretty generic MDI timings, though the SCLs being so loose, I mean, probably it's the higher speed probably outweighs any benefit of lower SCLs. So yeah, that looks good to me. Anyway, next submission. Is stable and kind of tight, but with X3D, who cares? 7950 X3D. Oh, well, I mean, at least you don't need a lot of SoC voltage to run this. Though with like, if you need this little voltage for 6000, I don't know why you wouldn't run 6200 instead. But anyway, 6000, 28, 35, 35, 32. Oh, 24 gigabit. Okay, that makes sense. 30, 62, 4, 8, 32, 4, 16, 48. That TRDS probably isn't crashing because your TFAW is at 32. Yeah, the 24 gigabit doesn't really do low TR, like, doesn't really do low TRDs in general. Not that it really matters that much, but like, I think if this was set to 20 or 16, this might stop being stable. Not that that's like it's not set to 16, so that's not a concern. But yeah. Anyway, TRFC 507. Whoa, you're really trying to run that as low as it goes. I mean, that's like it's fine, but yeah, like for 24 gigabit, that really is getting very close to the limit of what 24 gigabit will do. 4 4 and then 1 1 1 and then 65,000 refresh interval, 2200 FCLK, and disabled gear down mode. And you're on an X87TE Hero. This is another one of those setups where it's like you've got like a ludicrously expensive motherboard. I'm assuming there's some other like some features on that board that you have it for, because if you bought it for memory overclocking and this is your memory overclocking, it's just you make bad purchasing decisions. Anyway, Next submission. But like the timings look good. But yeah, I don't know why like such an expensive board and then such. I mean, these aren't generic because they're actually good. They're just like not really pushing the limits of anything. So yeah. Anyway, next submission. So another a 7900X 3D. Well, that's a fun one. Oh, and it's bad. Oh, it's so bad. It is big oof. This is like almost like this is actually this might be about the same as my 7800X 3D because I never really checked the absolute minimum SoC voltage for the potato in my daily system. But it looks a lot like this. Yeah, so this memory controller is trash. 2635. If that's minimized, that's like that's like too random a number to not be minimized, right? Yeah, that's an MSI board, so 1.16 is real minimum. Oh yeah, yeah, that was bad. Uh, 6,000, 26, 35, 35, 32, 30, 62, 4, 8, 20, 2, 14, 372. RDRDSCL at 8? Why? Like, I should really do 4. And then TREFI at 65,000. Yeah, so, like, the timings all look really good. Like, the SCL's a bit weird. I don't... Probably doesn't make that much of a difference, but... Yeah, man, that memory controller is pain. That is one very bad memory controller. So... Yeah, nice timings. Sucks to have your I/O die. Next submission. And it's another 7800X 3D, but at 6400 CL30. Oh, 24 gigabytes. It's a weird TRP to have. Like, this, when the TRP is this close to TRCD, I just don't, like, that's when I'm like, okay, this is pointless. Like, you could just have them the same. But anyway, 6400, 30, 38, 38, 37. Because, like, then, like, it doesn't really matter, but, like, yeah, like, when I'm having, like, stability issues, if the TRP gets, like, within 1 tick of if I'm trying to solve some kind of a stability issue, and the TRP ends up 1 tick away up from TRCD, I just set them to the same thing. Because it doesn't, like, at that point, you're not really, like, it's not really making much of a difference. Not that the timings are linked together or anything, it's just that, like, 1 tick of TRP just doesn't really matter very much at that point. But anyway, so B650i Lightning. Oh, that's not a motherboard I've seen very often. 2 kits of... Wait, this is... What? 2 kits... Wait, why 2 kits? You only have 48 gigs of RAM. Why are there 2 kits? Is it like 1 stick at a time? To give it a lot of ESOC to stabilize it with GDM and Nitro mode off, whereas 6200 worked with only 1. Oh, why would you turn Nitro mode off? Yeah, that wouldn't... Yeah, ASRock's 2-to-1... Well, I haven't tested my KingBank MDI, but ASRock's 2-to-1 mode seems to be extremely picky about what memory sticks you use. Because Because, like, I tried a kit that worked just fine on the MSI board, and on the ASRock board, it's just like, I don't know why it doesn't want to work. It just doesn't want to work. AMC typically matters more than motherboard when running high frequencies. I don't know if more, because I don't have, like, a large enough sample size of CPUs to say how frequently 8000 should just work. And the thing is, well, this is MDI, so, like, the memory chips themselves really shouldn't have any issues running 8000. It's like ADI, you can sometimes get ADI sticks where it's like they just won't. But MDI, as far as I know, should be more consistent than ADI because it's just like a newer memory chip design that's meant to run at even higher frequencies than the old design. That doesn't rule out like motherboard incompatibility with the memory sticks, which can be caused by things like the PCB and stuff, or just bad like I suspect what's going on with because the G-Skill kits on the Tai Chi for me work really really well, and then like I mean I haven't tried every kit I own yet, but like a couple different like a few sticks I've tried have been kind of a pain so far. And I'm guessing it's just like, oh, I guess that the BIOS I'm on is like dialed in for the G-Skill sticks and it just doesn't work with anything else. But yeah, so I don't know about how consistent the memory controllers are. Planning to get a better ITX motherboard with 8000 plus on the QVL. Oh, that might actually play a role. Oh, right, because the B650i Lightning, that's the cheap one, isn't it? Oh yeah, because it's the Phantom Gaming, that's the expensive ITX from ASRock. So it could even just be the board. Yeah, like it really could be the board, especially with ITX boards. You run into this issue of like, if you, like ITX boards can either be really good or they can be really bad. Because if they run out of space, the memory is getting like wrecked. Right? Because there's just not enough space to fit everything, so the memory traces get screwed. Or if they're expensive, they can just keep adding PCB layers until everything fits. This, I don't believe, is a board that just kept adding PCB layers until everything fit, which is probably why the QVL doesn't go to 8000. At least it's not the MSI ITX. That thing sucks so badly. The B650 ITX from MSI for memory overclocking, it like doesn't go above 7200. Though maybe it's better now, but like I doubt it. I'm pretty sure the problem with that board is just the topology isn't good. Anyway, timings 30, 38, 38, 37, 28, 65, 8, 10, 32. The TRRDL should not be necessary. I mean, it doesn't matter that much, but yeah, it shouldn't really be necessary to run it at 10. 6, 16, 540, 6, 6, and this is single rank, and then 65,000. Cool. So, yeah, timings look good. And at least you're still able to run 6400, so like 8000 is not gonna be like a huge difference. And the whole like 8400, like that is very unlikely, I think. That I think you need to get really lucky with the CPU's memory controller. So, yeah, I wouldn't get my hopes up that, like, a motherboard upgrade is going to make that work, because it probably won't. Oh, and we have a super chat, so I guess we'll take a look at that. Oh, also you're on a 7800X3D, and the 9000 series did get some like extra attention in the AGSA to get 8000 like high memory speeds working. So that's another thing. And also from like a performance perspective, a 9800X3D, even with garbage memory, is gonna just crush a 7800X3D. So if you're like choosing between CPU, like if the priority is performance and you're choosing between a CPU and a motherboard, new CPU is better than new motherboard. Like, it's not even close between the two. Anyway, so here's that super chat submission. What is this? Oh, Corsair Dominator Titanium 96 gig CL40 7000. Oh no. Wait, CL40? Is this some kind of Micron garbage bin? Wait, this is a Hero. Oh. Oh, it's a 4-dimmer. Oh, well. Wait. Okay, there's not 4 memory sticks. There better not be 4 memory sticks. Because if you have 4 memory sticks, like, that is a skill issue. Of not doing enough research. Oh, they make a 2x48 7048. Huh. I didn't find the Dominator version, but like Vengeance sticks and Dominator sticks, at least historically, all used the same PCB. Like the RGB, the RGB Vengeance sticks, have the same PCB as the Dominators. At least some of the later RGB Vengeance sticks. Because I think there was like an early Vengeance, and then they brought out the like RGB Dominators, and when they brought out the RGB Dominators, they started making different RGB Vengeance sticks. And those different RGB Vengeance sticks, they started making them so that they could keep use the same PCB from the Dominators, because having multiple different PCBs is expensive and stupid. So you want, like, you just use one PCB for everything. But anyway, so this is apparently a thing that exists. To my... There's no way this is Hynix, is it? There's no way. Like, Corsair likes to bin their stuff loose, but there's no way. This is... Oh, man. If this is Micron, then, like... 613338... 512 TRFC. I don't know what Micron looks like. I mean, this all looks like this is really loose for supposedly Hynix. If you try... Wait, did you try to tighten that? Because if that doesn't tighten, then this is Micron. And, man, you got screwed. Because this is, like, this price for this is insane. Oh, wait, there's a difference. Okay. So there is a different part number for the Dominators. But anyway, this is probably Micron. What's this? Wait, but you're on an Asus board, so even if you left the timings on auto, they should be fixing the WRD unless... Wait, they actually... No. I refuse to believe that they're bidding Hynix into such a garbage spec. Like, this makes sense. But at 7,052... No, like, there's no way. And if you can't tighten the right to right timing, then this is Micron, it's not Hynix. You're looking at SPD. No, the SPD timings are 40, 40, 40. Because the JEDEC spec is 4800. This is the XMP. Because there's no CL40 JEDEC. Yeah, this is 2x40. Yeah, but even if it's 2x48, this is trash timings. This is Micron. Like, I mean, I don't know if you could get dual rank Micron to function. But, like, why would you bin Hynix like this? This doesn't make any sense. Like, the timings... running 52 TRCD at 7,000 isn't going to make the memory more stable. It doesn't do that. Right? Like, their CL32 bin for 2x24, that's at 40, that's at CL40, right? I mean TRCD 40. So if you run that through the calculator, if they literally just use the same kind of binning that they do for the 6400 kit, then it would be times 3.5. Like it would be TRCD 44. Oh wait, that's the wrong calculator instance. Damn it. There. It would be TRCD 44. Because you have, 40 divided by 3.2 times 3.5. It would be 44, which is what you see on like all of the MDI kits. The only reason you would ever put TRCD at 52 is if you wanted to put Micron in there. Because Corsair has a CL40 Micron bin for 7,000 in single rank. It should be avoided. Actually, I don't know if they do it for Dominators, though. Yeah, no, it's still 4052. But anyway, so if you can't, like, either way, if you can't tighten the right to right timing, this isn't Hynix. And the rest of this also doesn't look like, well, the TRFC kind of makes, probably Hynix, I think. The thing is, I've never used the Micron ICs, but as far as I know, one of their defining features is that right to right just doesn't get that low. 6,000 CL36 trash? Yes. Anyway, I don't really know what to do about that. Like, so if it was Hynix, I still don't know anything you can do about getting it to run faster because like it's on Intel and Intel's memory controller is cursed and it just does things for reasons I will never understand. And if it's Micron, then you're probably just screwed. Why don't you read your super... Oh, come on. Because I wasn't finished with the current one. Also, I read it. Anyway, yeah, so basically, don't buy expensive memory kits for Intel systems. And especially don't buy 7000 CL40. Anyway. He literally opened Zen timings. Why do you need me to react to this? You can just read the timings yourself. I just, man. Nah. He's at 4350, 2175, FCLK 2233. Yeah, it's not synchronized because the UCLK and the FCLK aren't the same. But you know, reading is really difficult, which is why you're sending me a super chat. This is why I don't offer tech support to people, because usually people who need tech support are not fun to give tech support to. Because if they could read basic instructions, they wouldn't need tech support. But anyway, yeah, no, this is not synchronized, because, like, of course it isn't. Is it fast? Yes. Probably, this, like... Oh, of course, the classic. We test memory performance with Cinebench and IDA. Two very... neither of these is a good memory test. Oh, well. The settings are impressive, but, like, you know, this guy had, like, didn't he have, like, an 8800, 14900K? So, also YouTube has decided that it just doesn't want to load, so that's great. Oh, there we go. Oh, and he's on 24 gigabit. Of course, using a gene. That's a given. Probably the best, like, memory overclocking motherboard for AM5 that actually was available in, like, proper retail temporarily. Yeah. I don't know, if you want to bin one of my best 3 out of over 100 binned. Yeah, so if you want to bin, like, 100 CPUs, you too could do something like this. Oh, and he's using SUDIMs, so I guess they fixed support for those. Because last I heard, those weren't working properly. Oh, and YouTube tab crashed. Anyway, so I don't really know why you needed my opinion on that. Then again, I don't really understand how people how these live streams are are still so popular. So, like, evidently I do not understand how people work. Oh, actually, one last note on this. Like, the settings that you have running here, like, this looks relatively okay, other than the TWR. Like, the right to right. That could be way lower if it's Hynix. But, yeah, as for, like, getting it to actually work at 7,000, it's just, like, I don't... Yeah, I've literally never managed that. I think the most I managed on 2x48 with Intel was, like, 6,600 on a gigabyte board. Anyway, there's another super chat, so let's go take a look at that. What? Breathe. What? I'm not even that angry. I'm just disappointed. But I'm disappointed at everything all the time, so, you know. This is like my default state of existence. I get an email about how somebody's system is not doing something, and it's just like, what? Or like my favorite pastime, and well, no, I don't like doing this either. Another fun one is like watching people buy X3D CPUs and try to fix them. Like for some reason, people who buy X3D CPUs have this incessant urge to go into the BIOS to fix things because like the temperature's too high or something. And it's just like, it's an X3D chip. It will always run hot. That's just what they do. AMD says that's what they do. Every single reviewer says that they run hot. Why are you... Anyway, so we got, 2x32 on Z790, running 7000. Nice. 34, 46. That TRCD is probably way looser than it needs to be. That TRP is definitely way looser than it needs to be. Because this is almost certainly got to be a die. How are X3Ds running hot? They do that. Like, they always do that. Only 95. Yeah, like isn't the temperature limit at 95 degrees? So the CPU will literally, like, unless it hits a power limit, it's gonna run at 95 degrees. If there's enough load. Max operating temperature, 95 degrees. Stop trying to fix the not broken CPU. Anyway, so yeah, that TRP is definitely looser than it needs to be, but the rest of this, we've got 12 TWR, TRFC of 480. That's also way looser than it needs to be for 7000. TRFC per back 416, okay, that's fine. 8, 4, 20, 12, 12, 16, 32, 14, 7, 14, 14, 18, 20. Eh? I don't remember if that was a thing. It might be. That the dual rank timings for read to write are like really loose. And then we go 14, 14, 14, 7, 16, 16. Cool. So, yeah, these are good settings. Oh no, now there's a flood of super chats. Man, I sure hope these super chats have like settings that actually need my opinion and aren't just generic Hynix timings. Could boot 8400, 2100, but no idea how to make it stable. Requires too much VDD, so suspecting RAM. Running 8000 CL38. I mean, kind of depends what kind of CAS latency you were trying to run. I've not tried to run 8400 at all myself yet, because, like, I was having issues just getting 8000 to work at the start. And even then, like, I don't consider 8000 a guarantee thing to work. I mean, you do have one of the G-Skill kits that I'm assuming is an Expo kit. Might be an XMP kit. As far as I know, they're actually like the same memory sticks, so that shouldn't matter. Oh, this is BCLK. That's how your FCLK, UCLK is synchronized. I'm not sure if they can just do that. Like, usually the reason why you have like very specific frequency steps is because that's what the circuitry physically supports. So yeah, I'm not sure if it's possible to make a 2025 FCLK. It would be cool if you could. Or if they could. Yeah, but for getting 8400 to run, I have no idea. I don't think I've even booted 8400. Not that I've really tried to do that, but yeah. Also, you're on a 4 dimmer. So, I wouldn't expect that to work, like, unless you get, like, a miracle CPU. Anyway, 36, 16, 48, 38, 48, 86, 88, 32, 416, 48, 486. Oh yeah, that makes sense. 639, yep, those are not used. SCL's at 88, 34, 12, 16, and 65,000 refresh interval. Yeah, so this looks pretty typical for 8100, which this is just 8,000 with a little bit of BCLK on it. Yeah, but for 8400, I actually don't really have any suggestions on how to get that to work. Because yeah, I've mainly been just trying to see how like so far I've mainly been testing like 8000 on like as many combinations of hardware as possible. Just to get a feel for how like common it should be for that to work for varying combinations of memory kits, CPUs, and motherboards. And that takes forever because I do actually run like full validation runs, and sometimes things error out at like annoying timing. I'd probably just leave this alone if I were you. Like, I mean, yeah, well, it's true that like trying to push the cast latency down doesn't really make much of a performance difference. So running 8000 CL38 is kind of like is a very sensible option because that's not going to require a ton of VDD. Yeah. That's about all I can say about that. So, next super chat. This is another one that's set private. Yeah, that one doesn't... Okay, no, I don't think that one's set private. That one just doesn't work. Ah, there we go. So, 5800X, 3800 micron? Finally stable enough for gaming without... Wait, no, this is probably not micron. Yeah, that TRC is entirely too low for micron. This is Hynix. 16, 8, 21, 21, 31. So, yeah, pretty typical Hynix things there. 6, 6, 16. Not the end of the world, I guess. Not, you know, not ideal, but not the end of the world. 4, 12, 12, 5, 10. At least it's dual rank. 4, 4, 16s, 12, 10, 6, and then 4, 4, 6, 6. Yeah, this looks fine. Like, the thing is, this is Hynix, so I am not sure. So the could be tighter is like, I think the only thing that really could be tighter here is your TRDS could be 4 instead of 6. Um, which is kind of important. Between the two TRDs, like TRDS is the important one. TRDL isn't, because the memory controller kind of tries to avoid using that one if possible. Um, but if this has been like a massive pain to set up, I would probably I think 4 should be fine for TRDS. Because then, like, I don't know what flavor of Hynix this is, but I've even had like Samsung C-Die do 4. Um, so yeah, I think like that's the only thing I would try to change about this. The primaries I don't actually think would get any lower because Hynix things, and the rest of this is just more Hynix things. So yeah. Um, how high can I push my 64 gig 4040 with 9800X3D? Is that 34? Is that 6000 rated or 6400 rated? Like, details would be nice. Um, what do you think of the new Lexar DDR5 6000 CL26? Um, I want to try some because I have like tried a couple kits kind of at random to see like if they even post 6000 CL26 at what is it, like 1.45 volts. um yeah, it's 1.45 volts, so this is actually like from a cast latency perspective, this is a hard bin for a die, because like a lot of kits will not even boot CL26 at 1.45. Now, in terms of what it does for performance, not much, because cast latency doesn't matter that much. Um, but and the other thing I'm kind of wondering about is like, because this is a 6000 rated bin, so I'm not sure like the cast latency is really low, but I'm not sure if it automatically translates into like, hey, it's also going to be capable of doing 8000. Because I personally have a suspicion that I don't know how I would verify, but I have a suspicion that, especially with like ADI, not 100% of ADI is going to do DDR5 8000. Now, well, I might maybe slightly depend on the CPU's memory controller, like maybe with the APUs or Arrow Lake, everything does 8000, because that is a thing that a stronger memory controller on the CPU can just brute force memory sticks to run higher speeds. A really funny like DDR4 example of this is like I binned a bunch of eDie on Samsung 4 gigabit eDie on an APU, and then I tried to use it with Intel CPUs, and it clocked worse. It did worse timings. Everything was worse, and it was just like, whoa. Like I knew that would be like that is a thing, but I was not expecting it to be that like drastic. Where like sticks that were doing like 4400 on the APU were like getting stuck at like 4133 on an Intel chip. So yeah. Um, so maybe, and that's why I like don't use the APUs for memory testing, because they're literally like they do not tell you anything about how like a CPU will behave. because it's just a completely different memory controller that is just better, right? So it's like, oh, this memory kit is like amazing on the APU, and then you use it with a CPU, and it's like, whoa, this actually kind of sucks. So using it with the APU is kind of not, not worth it at all. Um, but yeah, so I'm kind of wondering if like the fact that these are like 6,000 rated, if that wouldn't potentially like I don't like I don't think these would be like I wouldn't choose these to try to do DDR5 8000 with them because of that low speed, because I kind of suspect that the binning for the memory speed is kind of split from the binning for the timings, because the timings are internal to the memory chip, whereas the speed is basically about the memory chip being able to talk to the memory controller. So that's like an external variable, like completely, or not completely different circuitry, but relatively different circuitry from what affects the CAS latency, for example. Right? Like the CAS latency is how quickly the memory chip can move data out of an open row into the output buffers. The memory speed is how well the output buffers can it's actually input and output buffers can communicate with the CPU, right? So being able to shove data into the buffers really fast does not tell you how well you can put that data out to the CPU. So yeah, I wouldn't I'm not like I wouldn't like so I wonder about that. Is if like, these might be really, really good for CAS latency, but they wouldn't necessarily be also amazing for frequency. So yeah, like I don't think these would be a good choice for 2-to-1 mode automatically. Oh boy, and there's more super chats. Yeah, I do want to test some of these because they are interesting, and it also looks like the price is not going to be completely insane. So worst case scenario, I can always buy them. It's not like the Kingston 8000 CL36 kits that are actually ludicrously expensive. Anyway, so here's one of the super chats, and oh boy, this memory controller sucks. Yeah, it really, really sucks. Now 469 TRFC is making me think this is 16 gigabit M-die. This is a Corsair memory kit. What does it say on the sticker? $6,400, 2838. Is that normal? Yeah, if you just get, like, with Hynix memory chips, for the most part, if you just shove enough VDD into them, you can do up to a point, you can do whatever CAS latency you want. I would not RMA a bad 9800X3D, because even a bad 9800X3D is still faster than literally everything else. And you're not going to be getting a replacement anytime soon. Like, they're kind of rare. Also, this, like, not being able to run 6000 at some, like, reasonable, like, a low SoC voltage is not actually a valid reason to RMA. 1.5 volts for 28. I mean, that's on the, yeah, like, that might be a weaker memory kit. I'm not sure that would be the memory control. Like, the memory controller shouldn't be responsible for that. Also, it looks like my tab crashed again. Yay. Oh yeah, it did. But the actual timings themselves, I mean, 28, 36, 36, 36, 30. Actually, also the fact that you're not, like, I don't know, maybe you didn't try to lower the TRP, but if you did try to lower the TRP and it doesn't, it's not 8i. Like, there's like two defining differences between MDI and ADI for 16 gigabit, and that's ADI does low TRP. Like, usually you can run TRP almost equal to cast latency, and so it doesn't need to be equal to TRCD. And TRFC can go around 120 nanoseconds. This is almost 160, so this is going to be MDI. Yeah. Anyway, 6, 16, 4, 4, 12, 16, 2, 8, 8. Yeah, oh, looks good. Also, it's single rank, so I don't know why I'm checking the multi-rank timings. Wait, what am I looking at? Okay. Anyway, there's another super chat, so let's go take a look at that one. Ooh, an X299 Dark. Running 4x8 at 4,000. Ooh, 3.3 gigahertz. Wait, is this, oh, that's a 7940X. Cool. Have you ever no extra information? Nothing special? What? No, this is way more interesting than all of the Ryzen setups. 15, 15, 15, 32, 1, 6. Yeah, so funny thing about the HEDT Intel CPUs is they tend to be better at doing 1T command rate. I suspect it's because of the like server boards needing to be able to run a ton of memory sticks. So the command address bus is like just better on the HEDT chips. But anyway, 16, 280, 4, 4, 15, 6. Right, yeah. 12, 16, 14, that makes sense. And then we've got CCDL8, CCD right 4, right. Oh. Wait, why are the... Oh, we've got RRDs twice. Lovely. Read to read different rank. Wait. No, that's not... Wait, what? Oh, now I'm confused. RRDS, what is that? Read. Different stick? But then why would there be a different stick long? That doesn't make any sense. Different slot long. Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. And we have a DD for different DIM. So I don't know. And unfortunately for tertiaries on X299, I don't remember much. So the primaries and the secondaries look good. The RTLs I actually just straight up don't know, unfortunately. But 3.3 gigahertz mesh clock is cool. I finally remembered what it's called. Yeah, it's mesh clock. So, yeah, and then just running like 4,000 on X299 in general is quite hard. Like, a lot of boards will not do this at all, in my experience, with X299. It's like one of the main upsides to the Dark is that, like, you still need to kind of get lucky with the CPU, but there's other boards where you'll get like hard stuck at like 3,800. Even if you have a good CPU, so yeah. Anyway, next super chat. Let's see. Ooh, 2x16 Intel setup, AMD setup, AMD setup. Wait, what? Oh, wait. What? 2x16. Man, I'm like Samsung B die, and I'm just like, oh yeah, it's DDR4, and it's like, nope, this is DDR5 B die. Um, why on earth would you need that much VDD for timings this bad? Like, admittedly, I never tried. Oh, like, actually, okay. Well, the thing is, I never tried to push Samsung to frequencies this high. Um, yeah, I never tried to run. Actually, I don't think I even tried 6200 with Samsung for some reason. Um, and the main, so like, sort of the main thing I remember about Samsung DDR5 BDI is that it basically doesn't scale with VDD in terms of timings. Like, at 1.35, at like 6,000. 1.35 volts gets you the same timings as 1.65 volts, which is rather disappointing because at 1.35 volts, the timings actually look pretty cool because at 6,000, you can run like 30, 33, 32, right? So like lower TRCD than what Hynix can do. And then you shove a bunch of voltage into it, and it doesn't get any better. But I never tried to run it at a higher frequency, so maybe that insane voltage requirement is just for the clocks. Which would make sense. Because, like, technically, the VDD is, like, the power for the, like, internal circuitry of the memory chip. And, like, technically, that internal circuitry does have a clock. So, it could potentially, like, internally clock better if you just shove more voltage into it. So that would make sense to me. And yeah, the timings are terrible, right? Actually, I wonder... Let's just check. So 36, and we're like 6550. Oh. Huh. So that is on the looser side. Maybe I shouldn't mess with... I kind of want to mess with Samsung a bit more. On Ryzen, or just in general, because I really didn't test it very much. I have like one video of it being bad, and that was the end of it. Like, it doesn't get better. Because even here, right, which, like, you're really pushing these Samsung sticks to their limits. Like, those primaries are bad. That TRC is worse. The TRRDs are fine, but, like, you know, okay. WTR is fine. TWR fine. That TRFC is bad. It's not a complete disaster because the TREFI is so high. But, like, yeah, like, this is not great. And the thing is, the Samsung sticks aren't, like, super cheap or anything. So it doesn't really make sense to be like, oh, like, you should get Samsung. Like, no, you should just not get Samsung ever. But yeah, like, they're kind of, like, the fact that they can do relatively low TRCD, especially at, like, low frequencies, is kind of neat about Samsung sticks. But unfortunately, that doesn't really make up for all the other deficiencies that they have. And then they also don't clock very well, and it's just like, yeah. So I haven't really done much with them, unfortunately. This is cool to see. Even if it's not, you know, going to be... I mean, it's not even that slow, right? Like, really, the main complaints, like, TRC bad, TCL not great. Or just also, like, TRAS bad. Like, the TRC being bad is a combination of TRAS and, like, yeah. So, anyway, TRFC 900 is also bad, but that's, like, not the end of the world, in my opinion. But yeah, so this is, like, it could be worse, but this is not really, like, you don't want to, you know, like, if you're buying an expensive DDR5 kit, you don't want this. But this is cool to see. Samsung pushed, I'd say, to its limits on AM5, which is not really something you ever see, because why would you do this? Unless you accidentally ended up with Samsung. Oh, and we've got another super chat. So let's take a look at that. And you helped me with these timings a few weeks ago. Was unable to get stable at 7400 without occasional CPU errors, but this is working great. 36, 44, 16, 40, 40, 48, 2T, 12, 8, 650K, 90, 90, 16, 32. Oh, I guess that's still at 31, 36, 16, 8, 20, 20, 16, 8, 64, 48. Yep, this looks like something I would recommend. Well, I'm happy that it's working for you well. Oh, and this is on like an MSI 4 dimmer. So, yeah, neat. Good to know that like it works for you. Cause yeah. Why would the memory report an overvoltage situation? What Samsung? No, like I've run higher voltages on Hynix. It's just that with Hynix you usually don't need to do that because it doesn't suck so badly. Um. Anyway, I guess I'll just grab like the most recent submissions after reloading my YouTube tab because it broke again. Um. Wait, Samsung S die. Okay, well now this I want to see. Is this like DDR5 S die or DDR4? Oh, it's DDR5, and it's bad. I mean, it is 128 gigs. Wait, what? This is 6000 C30. Oh, I mean, I guess that makes sense, yeah, because there were bin like the 6036 bin is Samsung, and so 38 also Samsung. I guess I shouldn't be too surprised. Um, Unfortunately, I don't know anything to do about this, especially like these high capacity setups. I straight up do not have enough dual rank DDR5 sticks to put together 128 gigs of memory because I have one 2x32 gig kit. I do plan to remedy that, but at this point it's like too late because like if I order anything, it's going to show up like the day that I'm leaving. So, also I still have like other stuff to test. So, and it would also be like mismatched 128 gig. So yeah, and I wouldn't be buying Samsung sticks because I only have Hynix sticks so far. So it still wouldn't help. Yeah, unfortunately, my only suggestion for this would be to try running a 5200. Because yeah, like I have no idea what to do about these kinds of setups. I would like depending on like if you really need 128 gigs, you're kind of screwed. But if you don't need like if you just need a lot of RAM, but not this much, 2x48 works really good. It's also really expensive, unfortunately. Um, Somebody has a triple rank DDR4 setup, so I guess we'll take a look at that next. And their link doesn't work for some reason. Why? Oh, for... Yeah, no, that link does not work. So you need to go do something about that. But he could do 600 TRFC. Yeah, he could, but I don't think that's going to help much with this. This is still going to be slow. I'm more wondering, like, if this is Samsung, if, like, you couldn't run, like, really low, like, much lower primaries. Like, that TRC probably doesn't need to be that high. Then again, I don't know if S-die is even remotely comparable to B-die in terms of timings. Like, it could be even worse, right? Like, fun fact, the last time Samsung had a good memory chip was DDR4 B-die, 8 gigabit. Like, everything after that has been not great. Um, so... Well, 40... No, that is a terrible idea. Absolutely do not drop your memory speed to 4200. It is very bad. If I say your link doesn't work, maybe try open it in a private tab to see if you can open it, because I kind of suspect that you've probably like left it set to private or something. That's usually the issue when I can't open a link, is that like it's not public. Anyway, let's take a look at some other submissions. So what do we have here? I grabbed this one at completely random, and it's extremely generic. Yay! 7700 in RAM from AliExpress. Board is an ITX ASRock B650i, TRP30 Insta BSOD, TRCD 36 errors. Well, you're at 6400, so like, yeah, that's not surprising. RDRDS CL4 doesn't boot. Well, that's unfortunate. TRRDL 6 errors. That's not very surprising at all. TRCD RD36. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all. That makes perfect sense. Like, this is for 6400, this is what I would basically expect the limit to be for the vast majority of A-die. 1.5 EDD, 1.45 EDDQ. Cool. Yeah, ASRock apparently doesn't, like, if you turn on high voltage mode, your minimum VDDQ is 1.45. Like, you just can't run less than 1.45 VDDQ. SoC voltage at 1.25. All other voltages auto. It also runs some OCCT. More than Karhu or VT3. Oh, that's interesting. I wonder, like, that might probably be just because it dumps a bunch of heat into the case from the CPU. But anyway, so yeah, 28, 37, 37, 32, 30, 62, 4, 7, 20, 3, 14, 384, 5, 1. Yeah, so this is absolutely slammed. A bit unfortunate about the RDRDSCL not being able to do 4, but other than that, this is absolutely slammed. Well, I mean, I guess technically I've occasionally seen sticks that can do like 4... at 6400? Yeah, I think I've seen some sticks do 4.4 at 6400, but that's not very common. I still can't... Like, that triple rank DDR4 link just doesn't work. Like, I've tried it with /A, I've tried it without /A, and it... Oh, now it works. There we go. This better be worth the effort. Oh, it's B-die. Man, I was expecting some kind of incredibly cursed thing, and it's just B-die. running B-die things. And it's I mean, 3733 is kind of impressive. The other way of doing 48 gigs of memory. I wonder what stick order do you need? Because that's like a big thing, especially with triple rank, is which slots you put the dual rank sticks in relative to the single rank sticks. Because that is like the one thing you need to figure out, and then it mostly works in my experience. Like, I think I messed with this exactly once, so yeah. Anyway, 14, 12, 15, 14, 29, 43, 4, 4, 16, 4, 10, 16, 3, 4, 4. Kind of on the loose side for the TRFC, though. I guess the dual rank sticks are probably like kind of awful or something. 4, 4, and they probably run really hot. Yeah, 4, 4, and 7, 7. Interesting. Hey, and the terminations don't even look like completely bizarro. Like, this is just 721, which is very slightly different from the usual like 731. So yeah, this is like surprisingly normal for a triple rank setup. Can I submit my stuff if I make an Imgur account? Yeah. As far as the RDRD SCL limit seems to be like kind of random, as far as I know. I've not run into it myself though. Oh, there's a photo of the sticks. Oh. Okay, so yeah, you go dual rank, single rank, dual rank, single rank. Neat. What? No, this won't go into single channel because it's every, like, both channels have 24 gigs of memory on it. No, the channel, like, the problem with, like, asymmetrical memory setups is that, when you have if you have, say, 48 gigs on, say you have 32 gigs on one channel and 16 gigs on the other channel, right? As long as you have like a 32 gig data set, you can have half of that data set on the 16 gig channel and then the other half on the 32 gig channel. If you have a bigger data set than that, you have a problem because part of that data set is going to be entirely on one of the channels. So anything you need to access in there is going to run at single channel speed, right? So if you have like a video encode, like let's say you have something that just, you're churning through a lot of data, and it's really bandwidth heavy. And then like a third of this data is sitting in the 32 gig memory channel. So for that third, it's going to run at half speed. But if you have a 16 gig stick and an 8 gig stick on one channel, and then another 16 gig stick and an 8 gig stick on the other channel, both channels have the same total capacity. So you're never going to run into that issue because it's a capacity thing. That's the concern. It's not a... like the issue isn't inherent to it being a weird number, like mishmash of RAM. The issue is just how much memory is on each channel. Because if one channel has more memory than the other, well, then there's only one way to access that extra memory, and that's through that one channel. It's like you have the same thing with there's a bunch of old NVIDIA GPUs that had like asymmetrical memory setups, and those basically have the same issue for the exact same reason. It's like certain parts of the memory are only accessible at fractions of the total speed because there just isn't, like, that memory chip has one, like, if you have a 1 gig memory chip and a 2 gig memory chip, right? And each of them have a 32-bit bus, which is what you have for GDDR5. So you're like when you try to access, and if you have 3 gigs of data, well, 1 gig of your data is entirely constrained to that one memory chip with that 32-bit bus. So the moment you try to access that 1 gig of your 3 gigs of data, it runs at it runs at single channel speed, because that's like physically the only connection that exists. Anyway, my tab decided to just crash again. So yeah, more submissions, I guess. Was it 1.5 gig? The GTX 580 was 1.5 gig. The GTX 570 was 1.2, but those are not asymmetrical. If I remember correctly, it's like the GTX 660 or something. And then, of course, there's the GTX 970, which is like a really extreme example. Though that one isn't actually... Like, that one is weird because it's like the internal interconnect of the GPU that's causing the issue, not the memory chips themselves. I'm pretty sure it's like a GTX 660 Ti or something. And it isn't so asymmetrical that it's like a major problem. Like, nobody cared about it. It's just like technically that is a thing on like a bunch of old NVIDIA GPUs. Yeah, because they had 2 gigs of memory on a 192-bit bus, which is like, how do you put 2 gigs of memory on a 192-bit bus in a symmetrical fashion when your memory chips all have, like, you can run the memory chips as either X16, like 16-bit wide, or 32-bit wide. Well, oh wait, this is symmetrical. Wait, is it? Am I stupid? No, I'm not stupid. Yeah. Or am I? This is not fun to look at. Why can't NVIDIA just be normal? Oh yeah. Yeah, like unfortunately the first GPU I clicked on was one where they put a sticker over the back of the memory chips, and I couldn't tell if there was memory chips under the sticker or not. But anyway, yeah, the 1660 Ti. This is a perfect example of that. So on the front, we have, so, you know, and this is like a cut down GTX 670. So on the front, we got our 6 memory chips, and then on the back, we got 2, which is a problem, because this basically means whatever data is in these 2 memory chips is only accessible through 64 bits of the memory bus. Now, luckily, it's not like the issue with the GTX 970, if I'm not mistaken, is that like literally locked out the rest of the memory bus when you tried to access that like one memory chip that was stuck on the like the messed up part of the memory controller. With this, it's like it's a random chance thing that your data will be complete like normal, like this isn't ideal, but it's like statistically unlikely that you're going to be completely screwed by this, right? Because probably like you're on a GPU, there's probably other stuff that you're going to be pulling from the other memory chips even while accessing these 2. So not the end of the world, but like technically you could end up in a situation where this runs in like 64 yeah, it would, like, you could potentially end up running in like 64-bit mode instead of 192-bit mode. Which is still not as bad as the GTX 970 dropping all the way from 256 to 32. Why does Corsair relabel the memory chips? Because that's just a thing that memory stick makers do. It's very common. Like Patriot does it, Team Group does it. I don't know why they do it. It's like the main thing it does is add manufacturing cost for them, as far as I can tell. But yeah, it's super super common. Um, for um, memory chips to be relabeled. Um, anyway, let's grab another submission. Somebody apparently bought an Arrow Lake. Somebody is apparently very bad at like buying good hardware. Z890. You can tell it's an Arrow Lake user because their monitor doesn't have any pixels. How is your screenshot this blurry? Anyway, um, um, 2x24, 9266 on a Z890 OCF in Gear 2, which I think is hard. I don't know. I don't know where the like breaking point for Gear 2 is on Arrow Lake. I'm pretty sure 9266 is like the upper limits of what Gear 2 can do, so that's cool. And then we got 38, 54, 16, 54, 66, 2. So, yeah, that makes sense for the frequency. 3765, 624. Yep, like at that clock, that makes sense. 12, 8, 26, 8, 12, 32, 36. I am surprised that you can run TRDL 12 at 9266. Well, let me just check something. Because I know for sure at like 7600, it's 10. I mean, it is a lot of voltage, so I guess that could be helping. And this is like times 4.6. Huh. Okay, I guess 12 does make sense. Neat. Anyway, 16, 8, 20, 20, 68, 50, and 32. Apparently that's like a thing with Arrow Lake where if you try to set the right to right lower, it like breaks stuff. So yeah, more Arrow Lake weirdness. Also, we've got the typical Intel user 2-hour memory stress test. I'm like, that's a joke. I don't know. Maybe they did more stress testing than that, but yeah, like I don't really consider. Well, like the thing is, here's like if you stress test your system for 2 hours, that's and you're happy with it, that's totally cool. The thing is, I have higher standards for the level of stress testing I do for my videos because I don't want to give people false hope about what kind of settings they're going to be able to run. And even then, there's like the issue of like, well, maybe I just got lucky with my CPU, which doesn't happen because I have incredible luck with silicon. Such incredible luck with silicon that I suspect that my 9800X3D doesn't work on the Tai Chi because of the like core voltage being borderline or something. Yeah, because I was like, oh, I'm going to do a 1-to-1 mode setup with the 9800X3D as like one more video on the Tai Chi before moving on to testing something else. And that did not go well at all. So now it's the 9950X in there, and I don't know if I want to put the 9800X3D back in again. I think I probably want to run the 9800X3D on an Asus board first, because yeah. Those don't, well, I'm well, or an MSI, because the issue I have with the Tai Chi is like it seems to over-report core voltage, which if it is actually over-reporting core voltage, that could like make the CPU undervolt itself, which is not good. Because then if it's crashing, then it's like I don't know if it's crashing because the CPU is undervolted, or because if it's actually unstable due to like memory settings or something. Anyway, let's take a look at another submission. Oh, we've got another Arrow Lake. How are there so many of these? Aren't these supposed to be super unpopular? 8,000 at 1.4. Oh. Last experience was Z390. Yeah, so the thing is, I've literally not touched an Arrow Lake at all. So I guess the best thing I can do is be like, where's that other submission with the OC formula? Like you could take inspiration from that because I've literally never messed with an Arrow Lake, and I didn't know about the right to write same group thing until like one of the previous live streams. The new Tai Chi on X870, yeah. I mentioned that in one of the videos about the board that it seems to over-report core voltage. It's kind of a pain to verify because, you know, when you have two voltage measurements, you don't know which one's correct. The worst part is like getting that voltage measurement from like the right place. It'd be great to see some ARL content. Yeah, see, the thing is, I don't like Arrow Lake. Like, I can forgive platforms like, say, FX, because at least it was cheap. It was really slow, but it was cheap. I can forgive first-gen Ryzen, because it was cheap. But Arrow Lake is not cheap. It's really, really expensive and slow. And it's just like, you want a proper overclocking motherboard for your downgrade from a 14900K? It's $700. Now, funnily enough, I did actually get offered a review sample, but I said no because it's just like this is a waste of time for me cuz like I'm going to test this hardware that I'm never ever going to recommend anybody actually use. Unless, like, they really like taking screenshots of very high memory clocks. Because it's not even good at any benchmarks, except it's not even good at Cinebench. Because, like, and I mean that in, like, the competitive overclocking sense. It's not even good at Cinebench. If we look up what the hell is it called? The 8285K. So you look at Cinebench, right? It's 11th in the 24-core CPU ranking. Why? Because Threadrippers exist, and Xeons exist, and those have big cores. And just a lot, like, they just have 24 full-size cores, so even, like, a 7 gigahertz 285K is not... So it's not even competitive in Cinebench, right? And then you have, like, I think the one benchmark where it's, like, not completely useless might be Geekbench 3? Nope, it's also completely useless there, too. Oh, man. I think there was, like, a post on Twitter from Asus, where Asus was like, "Oh, we got all these like top scores for Arrow Lake." Or I made a post about how Arrow Lake is a massive flop, and somebody responded with something about how like Arrow Lake has some overclocking records. And so then I went to HardwareBot to like find out what overclocking records, and I couldn't find any because it didn't actually get any records. It just has a bunch, like Asus just got like a bunch of first places. Because the issue, so, and this is still something that really bugs me, is that Intel CPUs with E cores get double classification. So like the 285K counts for 24 core rankings, and it also counts for 8 core rankings, but it's really bad at literally everything. So in the 8 core rankings, it gets dunked on by I think the 14900K? Yeah, like this is not Splave's best submission. What's his best submission? Oh, yeah, it's the 14900KS. So the 14900KS is a better 8-core CPU than the 285, and the Xeons and the Threadrippers are better 24-core CPUs than the 285. And then if you're thinking like, oh, I'm going to run some 3D Mark, right? Because 3D Mark is one of those things that Intel is actually good at. Why is the hardware is this like mobile or something? Oh, the scaling really doesn't like that, apparently. Anyway, so if we look at GPU benchmarks, oh, they're next to each other. Oh, that is so, I do not like this. Anyway, so let's just take a look at like my favorite benchmark, Firestrike. What's the best CPU for Firestrike? The 13900KF. It's just Raptor Lake. So yeah. And if we look at like other 3D marks that I don't necessarily like as much, it's still the same thing. Like Vantage is just like it's all just 14900K if I remember correctly. Yeah, like 13900KS. So the 285K to me is like, so it's not good, like it's not good from a competitive overclocking perspective. Like literally there is nothing you can compete in that it's good at because it's just not good. And it's expensive. Oh, I guess you can compete in memory frequency. That's like the one thing that it does do. But unfortunately for Intel, while I do an awful lot of memory overclocking, it's not because I enjoy it. It's because XMP and Expo are kind of slow. So, yeah, to me, Arrow Lake is like if the Apex was like if it was like a budget overclocking platform, I would totally understand. But it's not a budget overclocking platform. It's an overpriced flop that happens to not be locked down. And so like you can make bad cheap CPUs and you can make expensive good CPUs. You can't make expensive bad CPUs. So that's my view on Arrow Lake. Like I just see it as a massive waste of time cuz there's literally no redeeming features that I can see. Like yeah, I guess it's technically less horribly like pulls less power than a 14900K. But so does a bunch of AMD CPUs. So, yeah, and then price-wise, and the stupid thing is like Intel like hates their freaking product line so like just screws their product line so much. Cuz even the like 265K, which is like or 260, yeah, like the 265K, which is like, oh, the price isn't stupid. And I do realize the 285K isn't supposed to be $1,000. It's supposed to be like 600, but that's still stupid. So the 265K, which like, okay, the price is kind of reasonable. Yeah, but it has less L3 cache. Because like Intel just didn't get onto the L3 cache train, right, that AMD is on. So they still do this thing where they just piecemeal the L3 cache out, where it's like, oh, we took away 2 cores and we cut your cache down. And I guess the thing about that is it basically guarantees that the 285K is like the best gaming Arrow Lake of all the Arrow Lakes because it has the most cache. But it's like still bad at that. So like I don't. So the entire like the whole platform to me is just like, man, this is just a mass. It's bad at everything. It's expensive and it's slow and it's not like there's not even any competitive like you can bench memory frequency. It's almost the same situation as the AMD APUs, except the AMD APUs are cheap. They're really they're just worse than the CPUs in terms of actual CPU performance. But hey, the memory controller is better, so you can do silly memory clocks, and they're also like not insanely expensive. I mean, I still don't really like the fact that the 8700G is like, what is it, $300 or something? But that's still less bad than $600 for a 285K. So, and my tab just froze again. Yay, YouTube. So, yeah, unfortunately, I don't know anything about Arrow Lake, and I don't plan to change that until I can find an Arrow Lake for less than $100 on eBay. Anyway, there's another submission, so let me just open that up. $7,600. Oh, this is on 2x48. Whoa. I'm like, wait, why is this supposed to, and then oh, this is on 96 gigs. Damn. Did this need any extra tuning or something? Asus tax as well. Well, MSI's Unify X is also insanely expensive for 1851. So that is a weird TREFI number. 53,032. Then again, with 96 gigs, these probably run pretty hot, but that's just a really random number for TREFI. Because it's not going to be that much, it's not going to be that much faster than 50K. It's automatic. Wait, what? That's on auto? Interesting. I guess Gigabyte is juicing the BIOS a bit. Because they're not supposed to do that. Unless you have the, what is it, the high, they have the high, what is it, no, low latency, high bandwidth options. Unless you have one of those two enabled, they should not be doing that. Anyway, this is interesting. I need to test some Gigabyte boards again. And this is an X870E Aorus Master. Well, that's unfortunate for me because that board's really not the price on that board is annoying. That's also the cheapest motherboard in Gigabyte's lineup with the 8-layer PCB. I haven't tried much, can probably lower VSOC. Yeah, that shouldn't... Yeah, you should be able to run like 1 volt SoC. Maybe even lower. VDD... No, I don't think VDD... Well, no, this is MDI. That's probably gonna not go anywhere, because TCL34 at 7600 is... Like, well, my experience with 24 gigabit MDI is that it needs a lot of voltage for low cast latency. And like 34 at 7600 doesn't sound that low, but it actually it is. So yeah, I don't think you're going to be lowering that VDD from 1.55. But the fact that this works is impressive. Wait, every single clock. Wait, what do you mean by every single clock? Like you went from like 7,000, 7,200, 7,400, 7,600? Or you went like 8,000, 7,800, 7,600? You still have to unplug PSU to clear CMOS. Of course you do. Because the main thing I was like my main expectation for getting this to work would be that you'd have to like fiddle with the resistances, but that was the main thing I was wondering is like do the auto resistances just work for this? Because if they do, then there's a chance that this works on a lot more than just the X870s. X870 has a bad cooling. Bad cooling for what? The M.2 drive? Oh, every subtiming individually. They're not that special, but cool. But yeah, this is cool. So I really need to do more 2x40A and 2x32 testing. Fortunately, I only have 2 kits of that. And the worst part is like the memory manufacturers only ever want to send you single rank for some reason. At least they only ever want to send single rank to me. Even though I keep getting people submitting screenshots of 128 gigs. And it's like, I don't know what to do about this. I don't have 128 gigs to put together. Anyway, what's a good memory temp too high if run 65K refresh interval, same time says 50K. Yeah, the refresh interval doesn't change what what temperature your memory is going to run at. I don't, like, why would, like, I'm not even going to explain why that is, but it doesn't change the temperature. The issue is that if your memory temperature is high, then the data in the memory, like, dissipates faster. Literally, like, the capacitors storing the data discharge faster as the higher the temperature is. So if your memory sticks are too hot, for any reason, you can't run high refresh intervals because the data will disappear before you get around to refreshing it. But the refresh interval itself has basically nothing to do with the temperature of the memory sticks. Anyway, 65K usually works up to like somewhere. Like the thing is, like the temperature sensor on the memory sticks isn't actually measuring the temperature of the memory chips. So like some sticks you'll find that like the 65K stops working at like 55C, sometimes at like 65C. So that's sort of the range. You ideally want to be below you want to be below 60C for 65,000. Yeah. And 50,000 should be good all the way up to like 70 or something, or even above 70. Anyway, oh, and I guess we also have a submission. So I guess we'll see memory temperatures, right? Yep. Yeah, this is fine. And then 62, 30, 36, 36, 40, 80. So the reason the like newest iteration, like the A-die timings, the spreadsheet sets TRAS to 40 is because I've encountered some memory kits that can't run 30. It's not a blanket recommendation. If you have a kit that works at 30, you should just run it at 30. But if you have a, like, you don't know that until you try it. And so for settings that I want to work like 100, almost 100% of the time, it's better to just set the TRAS to 40 because TRAS doesn't affect performance that much anyway. But yeah, so 36, 40, 80, 8, 8, 32, 416, 48, 400, 42, 6688, 50,000. Yeah, so this should work just fine. I see nothing. Well, yeah, I really don't see anything that needs to be changed about this. So, yeah. Is there an option to change? So TCWL is just straight up not available on any AM5 motherboard because that's just not an option. TRCDWR, I guess Gigabyte hasn't updated to the AGSA that exposes it yet, or they haven't added it to the timings menu. I'm not sure. I haven't like checked a Gigabyte board like in ages. Also, were you on a I forgot what CPU you were on. If you're on 7000 series, you're not getting TRCDWR. That's the main thing I want to say. If you're on 9000 series, it's a matter of like the BIOS getting updated for it, but 7000 series isn't going to get an update for that. Anyway, there's another submission, and my tab died again, because of course it did. I swear, as the chat gets longer, it just gets less and less stable. It just freezes. I scroll around in the chat too much, is my theory as to why that happens. Because it starts out okay, and then it gets progressively worse and worse. If you remember 312 TRFC last time, it was not so stable. Ah, okay. Wait, but it's still crazy low. I still have doubts about this being functional. Anyway, 30, 37, 37, 33, 40, 73. All right, 33 plus 40, yeah, that makes 73. 4, 8, 22, 12. Damn, that's tight. I mean, I guess you might have gotten just incredibly lucky with your memory sticks. Because I swear, if I tried to do this, this wouldn't post on... I guess that I might go and like actually test my sticks for that, like minimum TRFC. Not that it's really that useful, right? Like I've mentioned this many times before. Like TRFC is basically like it matters as like a percentage of your TREFI. So once it's less than 1%, it kind of doesn't matter very much. And for 65,000, less than 1% is like 650. Right, so TRFCs of less than 650, you don't really see any huge performance gains at that point. Now, if your refresh interval is like 32,000, then having a TRFC of like 320 is actually pretty neat. But with a really high refresh interval, having a super low TRFC doesn't really matter that much. But anyway, yeah, that is surprising to see. And then the rest of this is pretty standard timings, other than that WTRL. That is really low. RDSCL 5 or 6, my I can't do 4. 5 should work Like 5 is fine. If you're in 1-to-1 mode, as far as there's no in 1-to-1 mode, I am not aware of any reason that you shouldn't be able to run odd timings. In fact, the JDEC tertiaries are odd, right? Like if you don't do anything, JDEC actually defaults to read SCL5, if I remember correctly. So, yeah. Oh, actually, on the TRCDWR thing, there's a chance that the TRCDWR setting is like buried somewhere in the AMD overclocking menu. So if you want to search for it, you could try, but yeah, it might not be there. I don't know. MSI seems to be kind of on top of updating their AM5 motherboards right now. I guess because like MSI to me seems like a company that really like tries to catch on to trends. So it's like, oh, the 9800X3D is super popular. Let's actually support our AM5 motherboards. Which like makes sense. That's a good thing. So anyway, like I've been really I'm not sure if impressed is the right word, but like I have few complaints for the Tomahawk. Like I haven't run into anything that's like, oh man, this is so annoying. Like the clear CMOS button works, the memory overclocking works really well, the voltage regulation is acceptable. You know, whereas with like the ASRock board, it's like, man, I really wonder if that voltage reading is off by 10, 20 millivolts. Because if it is, that is potentially a pretty major problem on some CPUs. Though, funnily enough, actually, I did have one weird thing with the MSI Tomahawk board. But I haven't, like, rechecked that more. So, yeah. Anyway, I do believe I just grabbed a random submission. Yes, I did. And we have an X870E Taichi Lite with a team group memory kit, I think. Maybe? I don't know. 8,000, 34, 45, 45, 38, 42, 44. Pretty sure that TRC isn't real, but that doesn't really matter. 4, 6, 16. 99% certain those TRRDs are just not real at all. WTRS2, WTRL 15, TWR 48, TRFC 480, 81, 65,000 refresh interval. Cool. And then 2200 FCLK. On the what? There is no 2-layer Z370. 4-layer, not 2. You can't make a 2-layer motherboard. Like, a 2-layer PCB is the kind of thing you find in, like, a high-end power supply. Actually, no, I think that might be, like, a low-end PS... No, I'm pretty sure some PSUs are still single-layer. I haven't really been watching PSU reviews much. Or reading PSU reviews much recently. What? TRD? Oh, the whole setting everything to 1? Well, this is a single rank setup. So these don't do anything. And I'm really, like, personally, I am not a fan of people setting the, like, back-to-back timings that aren't relevant to their setup to 1. Because I have seen some situations where that causes weird issues. It shouldn't, but I think like on sometimes on some motherboards, you'll have like some auto rule that kicks in when some timing is set to something, and then it just leads to like no post. Um, so or it causes like weird stability issues. So personally, I am not a fan of like setting things that like it's one like if like TRFC2 and TRFC same bank. If you set those to like 69, then like whatever, that's you know that doesn't matter. But I have seen the back-to-back timing sometimes cause weird issues when you set them, even for setups where they aren't used. Um, and so that's just a thing that like I don't do that. Other people do that. I don't think like I, I don't see the point in doing that. And personally, like even TRFC2 and TRFC same bank, I regularly just kind of like forget to set them. You know what I should do for one of my videos? I should definitely set them to 1337. Because like 69 is like at least it's a low number, but 1337 is big. So that's gonna be fun. Um, as for the T-fall affecting, I'm pretty sure I ran into the exact same thing with a 4-layer Gigabyte Z300 motherboard. But I don't know why that would happen. It probably has something to do with like too many activate commands. No, because wait, 32. No, yeah, that would actually put like a pretty significant gap between activates, I think. Wait, no, because if you had 4432, you could have activate. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what the mechanism behind that would be. Like I know I've seen that behavior myself. I'm pretty sure I've ran into the same thing because that sounds like something I've seen. Um, but why that happens, I have no idea. Um, oh, and this is gear down mode disabled on a Tai Chi Lite. That's surprising. Because I tried disabling gear down mode on that G-Skill kit, and it got very upset. Then again, your CPU VDDIO is very different. Huh. I might need to do more testing on that. Anyway, another submission. Also, we're over 2 hours now. Though the stream was kind of... Oh, and the tab just died again. Yay! Thanks, YouTube. Last stream going out in pieces. Pfizer matching 2N131 Nitro. Nice. So that's a really good setup on the Tai Chi. Like, the thing is, I haven't, like, spent a ton of time, like, tuning mine. Then again, wait. Okay, this is 36 minutes of... So, the thing with that gear down mode disable thing is I was running into the disabled gear down mode airing out Prime 95 at, like, 30 minutes in and longer. I'm not sure if it would actually trigger either of these two. And kind of like one of the reasons I've been like starting with Prime 95 for testing recently is it heats the flat. So it's like when I'm awake, Prime 95 running is free. Well, it's not free heating, but it's like useful heating. Whereas when I'm asleep, I run Karhu because I'm not in the room, so I don't care if the room is slightly colder. So, yeah, but I might still have to just do more testing on that, because, like, your voltages are very different from mine. And especially the VDDIO is something I'm, like, wondering if that would affect things. Prime 95 too, but only 30 minutes. Yeah. I mean, like the thing is, there's a chance that I was also like trying to do other things at the same time, and that was causing issues. But like, I've been trying to disable gear down mode on the Tai Chi for a while, and I was just like so far, admittedly, like this is one thing I hate about memory testing is just like there's so many freaking variables. It's like this is the thing is with the Tai Chi, right? Like I finished with the 9700X and then I was like, "Oh, I want to test some one-to-one mode stuff. Let's stick the 9800X 3D in it." Because the 9800X 3D I have is capable of high UCLK, but when I was trying to run that CPU, even with like garbage memory timings, it was crashing Prime 95 large FFTs, and like quickly. Right? So I don't know. Do I have like a bad like is the memory controller not actually capable of 3200? I didn't check if it's stable at 6000, right? And I'm thinking like, okay, if there's an issue with like the CPU's power delivery, which Prime 95 could be complaining about, then um you know, like that issue would show up even at like 3000 UCLK. So if it's still not stable at 3000, it's not a memory issue, but I don't have like I need to make content and spending like hours trying to like verifying a DDR5 6000 setup just to figure out if the CPU is stupid or not, or like if the motherboard is doing something dumb or not, is not exactly productive to producing content. um so, yay. Um so yeah, like the 9800X 3D was in, and then it's like, okay, like this CPU, like this whole setup is just being entirely too weird. I'm going back to the 9950X because I know that CPU really, like that CPU hasn't had any issues in one-to-one mode for me yet. Like that has just been very, very consistent. And so after I swapped CPUs, I still found out that I was trying to push the memory kit way too damn hard. Um, so that's been fun because I went like I ran 10 hours of 30 40 40 at 6400 because I was like I don't know why this actually I don't think it was even 30 40. I think it was 3240. Um and then I tried to tighten it to like 30 38. No, 28 38 34. That got upset. Um So now it's running, and it's been running for the last well over 12 hours at this point. It's been running 28, 39, 35, but it needs 1.63 volts because when I tried to run that at 1.6, it errored out. And it's just like, so I've not been having a good last couple days because I was like, oh, I'm just going to do an easy one-to-one setup. No, you won't. Now sometimes on some motherboards I get lucky and I go like, oh, easy one-to-one setup, and it does just work. Like there was one video recently where I said like, oh yeah, this just took a couple minutes to set up. Um, but yeah, then there's other combinations where it's just like it just doesn't want to work, and I don't know why. And at least now the channel is at the point where I do have the privilege of just like, oh, it doesn't work, change CPU. I am becoming a motherboard manufacturer. It's like, oh, the thing, it doesn't want to work, just use a better CPU. Why? What? It feels like that with AMD? Sir, are you not aware of my complaints about DDR5 8000 on Intel and how it doesn't work ever? Oh, I should close the submissions. I'm gonna scroll back up and like grab a few submissions that I haven't checked yet. Hopefully without the tab crashing. Eh? Anyway. Oh, and that was, and also the start of my wonderful adventure of trying to get this 2x24 set up to like, run was I was trying to set the TRFC way too low for like probably 30 minutes. Cause, and the way, and like, so it wasn't posting, so that was relatively easy to fix, but like it took me a while to realize that. So, okay, that is the right calculator. So at like DDR5 8000 with 24 gigabit MDI, you can usually run like 6400, which divided by 4 is 160 nanoseconds, right? And if you multiply that by 3, that's 480. So at 6000, you can run 480. But at 6400, wait. Oh no, so I was trying 512 and that doesn't work. Yeah, so some sticks won't run 160. No, it's not 480. Wait, no. No, I've done 640 on some sticks, but it's not all sticks. Yeah, so not all sticks will do 640. Anyway, what I eventually ended up figuring out is that 512 just isn't posting, so I had to run it higher. At like 544 for 6400. Which is 170 nanoseconds, which is like whatever. But yeah, like so fun. Really, really fun. Like this is why I don't try to dial the TRFC. Like usually I'm not one of those like, oh, I'm going to run min TRFC people, because if like what if you get unlucky on the silicon and it's like 5 nanoseconds worse than usual, right? And you're trying to run like pretty close to minimal TRFC. Well, it ain't gonna post is what is gonna happen. And you're gonna be sitting there like, is the voltage wrong? Because it's not my timings. Except it is your timings. Anyway, my MDI needs about 165. Yeah. Yeah, the thing is, I've seen some people manage 160. Hynix DJR TRC refused to go under. Oof. Lazy to optimal. The voltage is fine. Also, 1T doesn't work. Yeah. Well, 1T you usually have to do something about the setup timings. I think you just need to set the address command setup to like 53. If I remember correctly. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's just a matter of setting this one to 53 and then 1T should work. Because basically the issue with 1T is that it's not, like when you switch to 1T, the signal is not aligned properly. And these setup values basically delay the signal a little bit. And when I say delay it, I mean like fractions of a clock cycle. So this is literally like picosecond scale adjustments. Like this isn't going to affect your latency at all. This is literally like technically speaking, the memory controller should be dealing with this for you, except it doesn't, because of course it doesn't. As for the timings here, yep, looks like pretty generic Hynix except for that TRC. I'm kind of wondering if maybe you used a more sensible TRAS with a higher TRP if you couldn't get the TRC down, but low TRP is probably, like, I'd say low TRP is a priority. And obviously, if you set the TRAS so high that, like, it's higher than like, TRC is less than TRAS plus TRP, then, like, TRAS doesn't, like, TRC doesn't do anything, so, yeah, no, I'd just leave this alone if I were you. Does 1833 FCLK versus 1900 versus 2000 really matter? If you're on if you're on Ryzen 7, if you're on AM5, 2000 FCLK is trivial to do. There's like no way you can't do 2000 FCLK. In fact, Asus thinks that most CPUs will do 2100 FCLK because I'm not 100% certain if this happens every time, but they seem to be, the Asus boards, like X870 Asus boards, seem to be defaulting straight to 2100 FCLK when you enable Expo or XMP. Now, if you're on DDR4, FCLKs higher than 1900 have a tendency to not work. And even 1900 sometimes can not work, and 1866 and 1900 kind of perform the same, especially if you have an X3D. So, yeah. Also, for 3733, the correct FCLK is 1866. 1833 is for 3666. Anyway, let's take another submission. Ooh, a 14900 KS. That hasn't disassembled itself yet. Z798. Oh, look, we've got one of those Intel setups that I don't understand how they work. With the... Oh, this is actually like an... Wait, yeah, this is like an 8-hour stress test. So, it's not the usual 1 hour and like, or 30-minute one. Cool. Yeah, like, I can't even get this to post on... I don't think any of my CPUs for Intel. 36, 50, 40, 42, 2T, 12, 8, 660, so 24 gigabit, which, yeah, for that frequency, that would make sense. 65,000. 12 RTP. I am surprised that the RTP can be that low. 16, 8, 22, 22, 16, 8, 88, 56. This seems like this especially seems like it's probably looser than it has to be, but you know what? I am not going to question it because I can't get this kind of stuff to work at all. So, you know, like, my opinion on these timings is utterly irrelevant because this is just like, I've never been here. I can't get 8,000 to pass, like, you know, what, like a day of stress tests. Voltages seem reasonable, temperatures seem reasonable. Yep, all looks good. What ICs? Oh, this is going to be 24 gigabit MDI Hynix. Not done with tertiaries. Oh, that makes sense. Man, I'm still annoyed that I never got 8,000 to work on Intel. But did our Intel the thing is just like I hate the fact that, like, I need to make content. And unfortunately, that doesn't always line up with like stuff I actually. Well, it's not like it's a priority for me to test this, but like I would like to have an 8,000 pass on an Intel CPU, not an Arrow Lake, because that doesn't count. A good Intel CPU. Man, 4900Ks have gotten cheap. I mean, that's not cheap, but like, it's not really that bad for what it is. Not that I'm like looking at that like, oh, I'm gonna buy a 14900K. No, that's dumb. But because like I don't need E-cores, right? Like, if anything, the E-cores often cause weird issues with some of the memory stress test utilities. But anyway, no, why is it? I should have just gone by socket. So, man, I guess a lot of stuff is going out of stock right now, isn't it? Yeah, because that's not a sensible price for a 13700 KF at all. Actually, I could probably just get one second hand in the UK from CEX. Yeah, they're under £300 now. Actually, I wonder, the thing is, sometimes the CEX is not that much cheaper than... Oh no, it is actually cheaper than just buying it. Not by much, though. Man, the 13700 KF is like... Okay, yeah, that one's significantly cheaper secondhand. Oh, there's also a 7980XE for like... No. And the worst part is like the thing is like I have all this Ryzen testing to do. So it's like, it also like the other issue is like, okay, so even if I get an Intel CPU to that, like, maybe, just maybe, I get a memory controller that isn't complete trash for once. Or like just get a CPU that doesn't have any weird issues for once. My second 9950X literally cannot boot Windows on the Tomahawk on, like, if you enable XMP or Expo. It crashes on the loading screen. And it's not because of memory instability. It's because of, like, not enough core voltage. But it doesn't seem to do that on Asus boards, which kind of makes sense because I'm pretty sure the Asus boards have better voltage regulation. But like, that's my whole point. Like, why can't I just have a 9950X that, like, works instead of doesn't? Like, I have two 9950Xs, and one of them has, like, core issues, and the other one doesn't do 2-to-1 mode 8000 at all. I just, like... Like, I'm for, like, when it comes to the silicon lottery, I am actually just cursed. I am not allowed to have shiny new silicon in good condition. It's always going to be something that got sneezed on at the factory. If I borrow somebody's CPU, it's going to, like, get crushed in shipping or something. Because Asus underreports voltage? No, they don't. Was the last Intel CPU you bought with good? The 12600KF that I have has like really good cores. I don't know about the memory controller, but the cores on it, pretty beast. Especially the E cores. I think literally one of my best benchmark results of all time. Yeah. Though, I'm pretty sure the memory settings I was running on this are potato. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's like 7000 CL32. I mean, it's Cinebench, so it doesn't matter, but yeah. I could probably push that CPU a bit harder, I think. But, you know, not like the thing is I don't really enjoy benching CPUs. Like the benchmarks are just so boring compared to 3D Mark. And CPUs have so many like GPUs have issues, but I feel like CPUs have more issues cuz a lot of the well, yeah, no, somehow GPU memory controllers are just oh, well, I guess not true for a lot of AMD GPUs, but most like NVIDIA GPUs, the memory controller doesn't like complain about super low temperatures. Whereas with like even like Alder Lake, the memory controller at low temperatures kind of gets a bit funky. And then you have the like fiver, the integrated voltage regulator that can get weird. The mounting pressure, like yeah, this I remember being. Actually, I'm not sure if it was this setup or if it was one of the 12900K setups, but I do remember that running this on LN2, one of my biggest annoyances was that sometimes the system would like get stuck on a code 54, which basically meant the CPU is not making proper pin contact. Like it's kind of a memory training error, but it's also just like a pin contact error. So it was like, oh great, I get to like retighten the mounting hardware and maybe the error will go away, or maybe untighten the mounting hardware and then it'll go away. And so while this is probably some of the best silicon I own, I don't really feel like revisiting it. My 9950X for 1-to-1 mode, it's good. For the cores, I don't know. Isn't the 13900KS memory controller better? You mean in general or just the one I have? But yeah. Is CEX a reliable company? I would, for non-CPU things, I would recommend you actually go in store probably to buy. Well, so the thing is, there's 2 CEXs in town, right? So like, and as long, And my experience with their return policy is as long as you return, like, just ask for them to give you a voucher equal to the value of the item that you're returning, they, like, don't care. I guess they'd be a lot more, like, harder to work with for, like, actual refunds. But for just, like, getting another CEX voucher, they will just really not be like, they're really not a problem to deal with. Which is what I've gone for when I had to return stuff. And because ultimately I just take the voucher and just buy something else. Like, you know, because so I don't know. So they're like cool if you're into collecting hardware because you probably have like multiple different things that you'd like to get from them anyway. And then it's just like, oh, cool, this one doesn't work. I'll just get a different one. But if you're like if you're thinking of like buying stuff because you desperately need it for your one system and you don't have a bunch of spares lying around, probably not the best idea. But like one thing I like is that they do add like I think it's a 1-year warranty onto everything. So, and that's even like ancient garbage that they sell. Like they have some really old GPUs. You can get a warranty on them, which is pretty neat. Again, it's like mainly just, well, yeah, I don't know. Like I've not had issues with them. Then again, like I also just, like every time I returned something, I just went for the voucher. So that might be part of why I didn't have any issues. Oh, it's 2 years. Oh, cool. So I misremembered that. Also, my 12600, no, my 12600 KF isn't from CX. That's a new CPU. My best 8700K is from CEX. My there's some other CPU that I got from CX that was really good. No, I think it's just the 8700K. But yeah, like for some CPUs, they can be a really good deal. Like sometimes they're cheaper than eBay. Sometimes they're more expensive than eBay. Sometimes I think people buy stuff on CEX just to sell it on eBay. So, yeah. Man, I wish I had a Gene. Do I even want to check eBay for them now? Because they're not in production anymore. Like, at all. Wait, nope, that's not a Gene. Oh. 600 quid, 500 quid. Oh, wait, that's a Hero. Okay, there's one, and it's 600 quid. Yeah, that does not look like not a good idea. How many watts does the 12600 KF pull with an OC? I maxed it out at around 200-ish. Because, yeah, the thing is, like, most of the power consumption, like, the 12600K is only 4 E-cores, right? If you get a 14600K, that has 8 E-cores. And actually, the funny thing is the E-cores don't pull, like, they really don't pull that much power. Like, the bulk of the power draw on a 14900K is just the P-cores. So even a 14600K is just not going to max out anywhere near the power consumption of a 14900K. Yeah, but Amazon's like searchability is hell. Like absolute hell. Z690 PG Velocita. I would probably not go for Z690 boards because a lot of them are not very good. Like, if you care about memory overclocking, not great. If you just want the feature set, that board, if I remember correctly, was pretty neat. I want the product page. Anyway, yeah, because it has a postcode, which is neat. The funny thing with the like, oh, it has a postcode, yeah, but if it's really bad at memory overclocking, all this is going to tell you how bad it is at memory overclocking. Just like, yep, it doesn't post because of memory trading. Yeah, in terms of feature set, I think it's neat. I don't think I would be buying this for, like, benching. Well, the thing with Intel motherboards is that the prices on them tend to just, like, fall off a cliff. Because there's way more CPUs than there's... Actually, yeah. No, there's less high-end CPUs for Intel motherboards than there are Intel motherboards. Right, so the motherboards usually end up being really, really cheap at some point, unless it's like a rare one. So will it limit even a 12th gen? It might. Like, I don't know. I've never tested this board. Like, unfortunately, I've actually not tested any ASRock for LGA 1700. I can't imagine that they've actually kept the QVL up to date. Yeah, not really. There's one kit of ADI at 6600. Anyway, I am tired, as you can probably tell, and, yeah, like, stream's over. So thanks for all the super chats. Thanks for watching. I am toying with maybe doing one more stream sometime this week. Man, I don't... The issue with the live streams is, like, I get a lot more work done when I'm not streaming. So the whole, like, oh, I'm going to do some testing and live stream at the same time as testing is like, well, the testing's going to take twice as long. And if during the... Yeah, so that's probably actually a stupid idea. I should probably not do that. When's the Twitch gaming stream? There was one yesterday, wasn't there? Or before yesterday. I played Need for Speed on stream recently. So, yeah. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.